I think the first session today was very useful on pointing out what those are and the tariffs that we might face if we go under World Trade Organization rules, and how that will impact. Obviously exchange rates have had a temporary benefit for the agricultural businesses, which is a bit of a relief, but I think now the biggest issue we've got is just the uncertainty following the election as to what's going to happen next, and there's everyone is feeling what is going to happen next, and I think everyone will be relieved when talks start to give some indication of framework and what might happen.
Obviously the biggest challenge is the unknown, and therefore how we go from A to B without actually knowing what the parameters are. But that means that we have to be taking steps now to be looking at our farming businesses afresh. We've been there before. We were there when single farm payment came in, and we'll be there again.
Agriculture is a fundamental part of the rural economy, and there are loads and loads of services which rely on the needs of agriculture for inputs and to deal with the outputs of agriculture as well. Quite apart from that, there is the spending power of those people employed in agriculture who are earning their wages, earning their living there, and spend that in local shops, use local businesses to service their domestic needs, if I can put it that way. I think also in some areas, the actual spending power that is distributed through temporary workers at certain times of the year will be hugely significant. There are farms in the Wye Valley, for example, which routinely employ the better part of 1,000 people for harvest work during the summer. That brings with it challenges to the local economy, but it also brings a considerable amount of ordinary expenditure into the local economy, which keeps shops, restaurants, pubs, all sorts of local services in business.
We think government needs to start looking at how it looks at land management in total. So farming is one set of things that can happen in agriculture, but also provision of ecosystem services is another very important set of services that land managers provide. And government needs to look at that very seriously as a way of providing not only food, but also clean water, air, carbon sinks, all the kind of regulating ecosystem services we need. And so we want a reformed Common Agricultural Policy, a UK version of CAP, to look at a holistic management scheme for land and look at something that provides farmers a sustainable future, but also provides the environmental services we need in the UK.
Well, there is a need for some sort of form of support because all agricultural sectors throughout the developed world, with the exception of Australia, I believe, carry out some form of support, whether that is through environmental protection or support for family farms or support for certain techniques.
Well, it is changing the sector in terms of the kind of agri-tech technology types of changes, but with innovative farmers we're focusing very much on farmers themselves, because farmers have great ideas about how they can improve their production systems, and what we do is give them the tools to actually help them move it on to the next level.
I think the next 12 months is going to be a really volatile period, and in the environment community we're really concerned that after Brexit and leaving Europe, which has provided our environmental framework and rules for the last 40 years, we do end up with a Great Repeal Bill still saying we want to be a high standard UK, and we hope that the farming community and the rural surveying community are partners in that, because they're the ones who will help decide how we manage our land and how we decide how we use our land. And we would like it to be, inside Europe or outside Europe, still a beautiful landscape providing the things that we enjoy and love about living in Britain.
For the next 12 months I think it's fine, because we've got structures in place and so on. But it's not enough to think about the next 12 months. We've got to think about the 12 months beyond and the 12 months beyond that, and particularly how things will shape up from 2020. The way I would divide things out is that I think there will be a good future there for those who get their businesses in very good shape. Any time of change, any time of turmoil, actually is a time of opportunity for those who are willing to spot it and use it. But I think there could also be some suffering along the way as well, and that's going to be harder, I think, for rural society to deal with.
In the industrial strategy, government is looking at how we improve productivity overall, and they're looking at really leading businesses like Jaguar Land Rover and Rolls-Royce and how they can improve their productivity through innovation and science. But to improve productivity for the whole country, we need to look at the businesses that are just about surviving as well, and that's about making improvements and small improvements in lots of rural businesses. And we think lots of those improvements could be around better use of energy, better use of resources. Actually, agricultural businesses have got potential to be providers of new resources, synthetic biology, different types of fertilisers. There's different income streams, but we need to actually support them to get there. And that's probably quite an important part of how rural businesses are going to reform themselves for the 21st century.